The holy month of Ramadan has commenced, and Imam Hussein TV is committed to providing its cherished viewers with a diverse array of high-quality educational content and special live broadcasts from the sacred land of Karbala. Among our primary broadcasts from this holy land is the live recitation of Quran directly from the holy shrine of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, offering your home a beautiful ambience of spirituality from the holy land of Karbala. In appreciation of the sponsorship for this particular live broadcast, we have curated 3 exclusive gifts of gratitude for our esteemed donors. The bronze package includes water from the holy grave of Mawla Abul Fadl Abbas alayhi salam, the original turba or khaki shifa, and a piece of marble from the holy shrine of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. The silver package includes all items in the bronze package, along with a piece of carpet from around the holy darih of Abul Fadl Abbas salawatullah alayhi. The golden package comprises all items from the silver package, plus a holy flag of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, blessed on the holy dome and darih of Imam. To reserve your preferred package and sponsor the broadcast of Imam Hussein TV, kindly contact our Karbala office via WhatsApp using the number displayed on your screen.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. In the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful, all praise is due to the Lord, Master of all the worlds, and peace and blessings be on all his prophets, and especially his final prophet, the Holy Prophet Mohammed, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. My dear brothers and sisters, I congratulate each and every one of you on the upcoming holy month of Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of our community worldwide and give peace to those who are suffering around the world today. So, this month's discussion is an enthralling one. I'm really looking forward to it. And it really is the discussion concerning arguably one of the most famous splits within the religion of Islam. And of course, that is the Shia Sunni split. And some of you may be asking, why would I pick such a topic for this holy month of Ramadan? Well, I'll give you a background to this particular story, and so then you'll understand why exactly I'm going in this direction and why I've chosen this particular series of discussions. A few months back, I was having a haircut somewhere in the UK, and there were a couple of barbers who were having a discussion while I was sitting on the chair. Of course, they did not know me or know my position. It wasn't a place that I normally went. And the discussion suddenly went towards the impurity or purity of the dog and which parts of the dog's body are najas and not. And what suddenly happened was that we began to question where on YouTube we should look for the answer. When we brought about a few names, we raised a few names as to who we should consider in terms of scholars online who would be able to give an answer. One of the barbers said, let's see what Sheikh Uthman al-Khamis's opinion is about the purity or impurity of the dog. At that moment, I said, well, it's interesting if he has a lecture on that, because most of his talks tend to be about disproving Shi'ism or attacking the Shia. And when I looked to the side, I saw that the other hairdresser who was there said, and what is there to defend about the Shia? The Shia are a group of heretics who deserve no defense whatsoever, and that these people are disbelievers in the religion of Islam, and that they therefore are to be termed people who are outside the fold of the religion. When I began to ask him why he had such thoughts about the Shia, he said to me, well, look at them. They hit themselves. They beat themselves. They self-flagellate. Is this a sign of somebody who's part of the religion of Islam? So I looked at him and I said, if they do these things, does this negate the fact that they believe in the oneness of God and the prophets of God and the finality of the prophethood of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alih? He said to me, well, not necessarily. I said, so how do they leave the fold of the religion of Islam? They may have a certain act, which you may disagree with, but they may still fall within the categories of being a Muslim. And some may term them at that moment as a fasiq. Some may say that these are people who are falling under nifaq. Some might say that these are people who, for example, are away from iman. But the reality is they are still those who submit to the oneness of God and the prophethood of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family. The other person who was at the hairdresser, the other stylist, he turned around and said, well, actually, no, I believe that the Shia are Muslims. And on the contrary, I've seen some very good things from the Shia in my life. And I know that they love the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. And I've had friends growing up who are Shia. So I disagree with you. And what ensued in front of me was something very interesting. On the first level, what ensued in front of me is that this world, in reality, and the family in which we're born into is arbitrary. These two were born into Sunni households. I was born into a Shia household. I, therefore, may have been raised with a Shia inclination, only knowledge of Shia literature, only knowledge of Shia scholarship, only knowledge, for example, of lectures related to the Shia world. And they may have been raised in an environment where it was majority Sunni. And so therefore the ulama that they hear about are Sunni, the narrative that they hear about is Sunni, the people they surround themselves with are Sunni. On the second level, however, it also taught me that you couldn't generalize about people from another sect in Islam. Because these two, who both worked in the same salon, had a disagreement with one another about whether Shia are to be termed as Muslims or not. With one of them saying that I have many Shia friends and I don't have a single problem calling them Muslims and don't have a single problem also socializing with them, and the other one being very adamant that he believed that Shia were outside the fold of the religion of Islam. If I saw both of them praying in a mosque somewhere, I'd see both of them praying like this, and someone could easily reach a conclusion that these are both Sunni. But just because they're both Sunni does not mean they both have the same conclusion or worldview in relation to my belief system. But I think what was more interesting than anything else was the third issue, and that was the main reason that I decided that there needs to be a series of discussions on this particular topic. And that is that in the year 2024, there are still people who are either misinformed about the beliefs of the Shia, or there are people who may have misconceptions surrounding Shia thought. You would have thought with the age of the internet, people would have been aware of all of our opinions, all of our belief systems, all of our books, because everything is available online now, and there are lectures available on YouTube everywhere. But the reality is that there are still people who do not know what we, the Shia, believe in. There are still people who forget what we, the Shia, believe in, may still not know certain things about the life of the holy household and the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alih. I was in a taxi in Istanbul, and the taxi driver asked me where was I from. I tend to always say Karbala wherever I am when a taxi driver asks me where are you from, because I think that's synonymous with Shi'i identity. So when he asked me where I'm from, I said Karbala. He said, where's that? I said, you don't know Karbala? He goes, no, I've never heard of it. Where's Karbala? I said, Karbala, you have no idea. It's only when I said Hussein and I went like this, he said, oh, Karbala, yes, Hassan Hussein. He also thought that Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam is buried in Karbala next to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Now what do I have here? I see that in the year 2024, it's remarkable. You can go to North Africa, or you could go to Bradford, Dewsbury, Birmingham. You'll still find that there are people who are taught things about Shia belief which are far away from the truth. And you still find that there are books which are published which very happily accuse the Shia of committing certain things which we don't, or very happy in slandering our belief system and our thought process. And that's why in this holy month of Ramadan, if you look behind me, you'll see that I have decided to bring in my library of the books from all the schools in the religion of Islam. Not just our school, but to look at the main books and the main literature of all the schools in the religion of Islam. If you look at the development of the religion of Islam, both Shia and Sunni, there are a few salient points that emerge. First and foremost, what's clear is that both of us are trying to find the path to God and trying to have a certain amount of cognizance of the existence of the Lord, an understanding of the attributes of the Lord. We do this through either the Holy Quran, or we do this through understanding the life and the teachings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alih. Whether you're Shia or whether you're Sunni, you both are trying to find that path through the medium of the seerah, of the biography of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alih, in which you're able to gain an understanding of the Lord and gain an understanding of how best to live a godly life. When you look at our trajectories and our paths after the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family passed away, you'll see that many of us may not have necessarily understood how our paths evolved or developed. Some of us may have a basic understanding. Some of us may have a basic overview. But the problem with a basic understanding and a basic overview is that you may end up committing injustice against millions of people who follow a particular path. This could affect a Shi'i against a Sunni, or it could affect a Sunni against a Shi'i. We know the Quran, for example, says in Surah Al-Hujurat, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Surah 49, verse 6, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. O you who believe, when a wicked person comes to you with news, verify the news. Otherwise, you may end up putting a whole group of people in ignorance, and then you regret what you have done. If you look at the development of the Shi'i world and the development of the Sunni world, most people simplify it as the Shia developed by having an attachment to Ali, and then some of them went even further in their attachment of Ali. Some went to even worship Ali, and that the Shia believe that the Imams are infallible, and that the Shia have a different Quran, and the Shia have different practices, and then the Shia believe in this Imam who is now in occultation and is a mythical legend in their eyes. You'll find that some from other schools in Islam look at us like that. If you look at, for example, the Shi'i view of the Sunni world, it is that the Prophet died, there was a usurping of the leadership of Imam Ali alayhi salam by a group of oppressors, and then after this, these people went on to glorify the Umayyads, glorify the Abbasids. They love all of these caliphs, they respect them all, and they also had certain imams of law, and these imams of law are imams who had their own ijtihad, their own schools of law, and the gates of their ijtihad have now closed, and then from there onwards, the different empires of the Sunni world, they would oppress the Shia until we have what we have today. This is a very oversimplified version of the way, unfortunately, millions view one another. There is no way that these two schools in the religion of Islam could be simplified in this way. And there is no way that their theologies or their law or their spirituality or their ethical systems can be simplified in this way. Because when you're talking 1400 years, you're talking 1400 years of scholarship. You're talking 1400 years of different theological discussions, different theological debates, different legal manuals, different legal instructions. When we're talking about this, there is a need for us to appreciate each other's readings of the religion of Islam's development, even though we can be comfortable in our own skin of saying that I subscribe to this particular theology. I remember Sheikh Yasir Qadhi in some of his discussions, while he is open in trying to discuss, whether we agree with the conclusions or disagree, while he is open in trying to discuss Shi'ism, he says that I'm very proud of my Sunni beliefs. I'm proud that I follow Sunni theology. A person can still remain proud of the school of Islam that they follow without having to resort to insulting one another or cursing one another or threatening one another to kill or excommunicate one another. Because sometimes when a person thinks of the Shia Sunni split, the first thing that comes to mind is not intellectual dialogue. The first thing that comes to mind is bloodthirsty individuals, or individuals who continue to curse each other, or individuals who continue to send each other to hellfire. I think many would agree that when you do think of the Shia Sunni development, a person thinks that these people are bitter enemies and they're bitter rivals of one another. When the reality is that there are a number of nuances involved in the discussion of Shia and Sunni. The first of the nuances is that even within the Sunni school, there is no one reading of the last 1400 years of the religion of Islam within the Sunni world. Today in the UK, the sizable Sunni Muslim community, there are some who call themselves Hanafis. There are some who call themselves Maliki. There are some who call themselves Hanbali. There are some who call themselves Shafi'i. When we see them, we see that they are called Sunni. But when they subscribe to different schools of law, that means that they are willing to admit there was no agreed upon consensus in relation to certain legal issues. Hence, Abu Hanifa, Malik, and Shafi'i may have an opinion on one issue they all agree with, but then they may differ on another issue. For example, with Ahmed bin Hanbal. When now a person says to you that I am Sunni, you say to them, so which school of law do you subscribe to? Someone says, I'm Hanbali. Why don't you just say, I subscribe to the Sunni school of law? Why do you have to say Hanbali? The reason you have to say Hanbali is because you've even recognized that although Islam is one, there was the possibility of different understanding within 150 years of the death of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his family, in the different schools of the religion of Islam. If the Sunni opinion was one, then why do we have so many schools of law in that early period? And then we ended up with a conclusion that there are four. Don't think there was only four. Never has Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa ever said that there will be four schools of Islamic law. Abu Hanifa school, Malik bin Anas school, Mohammed bin Idris al-Shafi'i school, or Ahmed bin Hanbal school. Never has Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa ever said this once. So now, when a person says they are Hanafi, what are they saying? They are saying that I follow the opinion, for example, of Abu Hanifa and the people of Kufa. Another may say, for example, I follow the opinion of Malik and the people of Medina. You said, but hold on, you said you're Sunni. Just because I'm Sunni does not mean that I cannot have different readings within one madhab. One madhab. You may have different readings on law. In that same one madhab, known as the Sunni madhab, you may have different readings on theology. Do you think that when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa died, what we today call the Sunni world, you think they all agreed on the same things in Aqidah? All of them? They did not all agree on the same things in Aqidah. They may have said that we are following the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa and the words of the Sahaba who were alongside him. But if you were to ask them on Aqidah, do you all agree on the same things? Wallah, there were times they were willing to kill each other over a question of whether the Quran was created or whether the Quran is eternal. They were ready to kill each other on an issue like this, where an imam of a Sunni school of law such as Ahmad bin Hanbal, is sent to prison, where there is an inquisition on the area of predestination and free will. Many times we hear the discussion of qadar and qada, and what is qisma and what's written and what's not. In the early Muslim community, this painting that is given to us and portrayed as if everybody agreed on one reading, people had a difference of opinion, which later escalated theologically into a school where you had the Mu'tazila and you had the Asha'ira later on, and they had difference of opinion on the issue, for example, of free will and predestination. There were difference of opinions that also existed in relation to anthropomorphism. Can we see God in this world or on the Day of Judgment? Does God have a body? Now, why am I saying all of this? In the Sunni world, therefore, in the earliest period, there were different readings that existed. But the people were able to survive this, and they were able to say that the Prophet, for example, said, اختلاف أمتي رحمة. The differences within my ummah are a blessing. And therefore, if there are differences, then there is no problem. Rather, this is a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When I therefore look within the Sunni school, and I can see on theology, they have a difference of opinion. On law, within the school, they have a difference of opinion. On history, Tabari, Baladhuri, Ibn al-Athir, all of these, who we have some of their works behind us, and in the next month, inshallah, we will open up some of the works to see what's written in the text itself. You'll see that even historians who may have been known to subscribe to a certain school of law and a different school of theology may have a different conclusion in relation to their analysis of a particular historical figure. Muawiyah, in the eyes of some, was someone who had caused dissension. Muawiyah, in the eyes of others, was someone who, for example, had been a restorer of the Muslim faith and one who united the community. This is all where? This is all within the Sunni reading of the religion of Islam. Therefore, if differences are a mercy, and if within this school you may have different readings of the religion of Islam, why does a person stop the Shia from having their reading as one of the readings of the religion of Islam? Why is it that when the Shia school has its reading on Islamic law, say for example the Shia eat fish with scales, there may be others who eat fish, for example, without scales. Why can I not, as a Shia, be allowed to say that I have the dala'il, the proofs, as to why I have reached such a conclusion in relation to what I eat? I, as a Shia, pray with my hands by my side, similar to how some Malikis you will see pray. Why can I not also be recognized as another school in the religion of Islam, and a school whose validity is similar, if not the same exactly, as the other readings when viewed from another school of Islam? I, for example, have taken the Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam as a hujjah in terms of their words, that I believe that they are the closest to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, and another school may take the Sahaba as being the closest to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. No problem. I have a reading and they have a reading. We said that in their school, in the Sunni school, they have a reading and they have differences within their own school's readings. Likewise, I, as a Shi'i, in my own school, there is no harm in saying that there may be theological issues where my own school have had different readings on. When I look at Shaykh al-Mufid or Shaykh al-Saduq, I may find that in terms of theology, they may have had a different opinion to others. There may be some of my ulama who were very happy to take on Khabar al-Ahad, or the solitary narrated report, and there may be others who, for example, rejected taking such a thing. There may have been some who may have reached a particular conclusion on how much aql can be used, and some who said aql should not be used, or some who said there are limitations to reason and rationality when deriving law, for example. One sees the akhbari, usuli differences that emerge between the likes of Bahbahani and Astarabadi. What we see over here, therefore, is there is a need for the Shi'i Muslim to be acquainted with their own literature. And there is a need for us to also understand the heritage of others. There is a need for the Sunni to understand their own literature. And there is a need for a Sunni to understand the heritage of others. Is this a conversion game? Not in the slightest. إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء. You cannot guide who you want to guide. Allah guides who He wants to guide. This is not a conversion game. Rather, it is when a person is willing to build a better society, not through trading insults or 1-minute videos on YouTube. I smashed the Shia, Shia got demolished, Shia got ripped at Speaker's Corner, Shia got annihilated. No, relax. This is not the ethos of the religion of Islam. And I say this whether it is someone who is from my school or outside of my school. The ethos of the religion of Islam was what? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن. Invite towards the way of the Lord. No problem. You want to do da'wah, you want to do tabligh, no problem. But do it with wisdom. Do it with a kindly exaltation. And talk to them in that way which is better. Where the Sunni Shia discussion heads can be very different in different countries in the world today. There are certain countries, there's no way the Shia can just open up and say, I'm Shia. If I look at certain parts of Jordan, I'll find that it's very difficult for a person to come out and say that they're Shia. There are some countries where the Shia community has to virtually be either in taqiyya or there's pockets of them. I look, for example, in North Africa, and I see from Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, you'll see that within these communities, there are Shia who live but cannot say that they are Shia. Imagine the religion of Islam, which was meant to be a religion open for dialogue with the people of the book, cannot engage in dialogue with the people who share the book. Ready to be open in dialogue with the people of the book, cannot engage in dialogue with the people of their own book. In Tunisia, recently Sheikh Ahmed Salman has worked his socks off in ensuring that there is open dialogue with the Shia, and I respect this discussion taking place in Tunisia because credit is to be given. Credit is due to the people in Tunisia who have done something which I don't think would happen in Jazair, and I do not think will happen in Masr, and I do not think will happen in Al-Maghrib, where you see that Sheikh Ahmed Salman comes on television and is having open discussion with people who ask him, and feel free to ask. People who ask him, why do you, the Shia, for example, differ with the Sunni school in relation to the companions, the caliphs, the wives of the Prophet? No problem, ask. The same way you had different readings about predestination, free will, and about the eternal or non-eternity of the Quran, or about issues concerning the state of the Muslim sinner, which were debates with the Khawarij and the Mu'tazila in that early period. Likewise, have these discussions openly with us. Someone might say, but I thought Egypt was more open to us. Egypt, there was a time, my dear brothers and sisters, where Najaf and Al-Azhar were open in their back and forth discussions with one another, writing to one another. There are certain ulama, whether Sheikh Kashf al-Ghata, or whether, for example, Sayyid Abdul Hussein Sharafuddin al-Musawi, the scholars of Iraq, the scholars of Lebanon, who were in constant discussions with the Sheikh of Al-Azhar and the famous ruling that was given from Sheikh Mahmoud Shaltut in relation to the Ja'fari school, know that this was part of the ethos of discussions even going back 500 years, going back 1,000 years. If a person was, for example, to look at a work like Sheikh al-Tusi's Al-Khilaf fil Ahkam, Sheikh al-Tusi was ready to look at the different schools of Islamic law and compare their rulings. Sheikh Jawad Mughniya was similar. They were ready to look at what does the Maliki school say, what does the Ja'fari school say. What does the Hanbali school say, what does the Shafi'i school say. What does the Ja'fari school say, what does the Hanafi school say. Sheikh Muhammad Jawad Mughniya, Sheikh Muhammad Taqi al-Hakim, Sayyid Muhammad Taqi al-Hakim, Sayyid Abdul Hussein Sharafuddin al-Musawi, Sheikh Ja'far Kashf al-Ghata. These were people who were open in their willingness. And you know who else? You look at Sheikh al-Mufid and Shahid al-Thani. Sheikh al-Mufid and Shahid al-Thani used to study under Sunni ulama. Some of their teachers were Sunni scholars. I ask you today, how many mosques in the world where there are 2 billion Muslims, how many mosques are there imams who can openly say, whatever madhab you follow, even if you're a Shi'i, come and attend my daras or come and attend my halaqah and there is no problem for you whatsoever. And that should be a reflection point for us this holy month of Ramadan. That where are we exactly in our understanding of the religion of Islam and the way that we operate and the way that we coexist and the way that we dialogue with others. Some have said that Shia and Sunni coming together or uniting is very difficult. I think socially it is not difficult. But theologically, there is no problem in us, even though we may agree or not agree on everything, but we can agree to disagree and understand each other's literature. Now, where does that begin? That begins first by appreciating that in these 1400 years since the Prophet, peace be upon him, his family died, there is no way that there is only one reading of that 1400 years. No chance. There is different readings, and it's up to you to understand the conclusion on each of these. But you can only do this, and I repeat this again in this introductory session before we move on to each of the topics. You can only do this if you yourself are acquainted with your own literature. If I look, for example, here at this text which I have in front of me, this is arguably the most famous text which we have in the school of Ahl al-Bayt alayhim as-salam. This text. After the Holy Quran, this text is the most famous one. Al-Kafi of Sheikh Al-Kulayni. If I want to open it now, you'll see that this text, which is 1,000 years old. This text in front of me, how old? 1,000 years old. It says, as we zoom in, Al-Kafi, the earliest and most important compilation of traditions from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi and his successors. Of course, compiled by Sheikh Abu Ja'far, Mohammed bin Yaqub al-Kulayni. The commentary and translation, Islamic Text Institute, under the direction of Sheikh Ridwan Arastu. When I open it here, I come and see on this page that this was published very recently, in the year 2014. And I see that the chapters here, I've taken volume 2 of the Usul. Chapter 1 on the obligation to seek knowledge and the encouragement to do so. On the characteristics of knowledge and its merits, and on the virtue of scholars. This book, Al-Kafi, is a fundamental book for all of us. But there are many in the Shia world who have not opened Al-Kafi. When we have not opened our own literature, and we know more about these books behind me. If you look over here behind me, here I've got Sahih al-Bukhari. Let me get Sahih al-Bukhari here. Sahih al-Bukhari, I'll place it in front of me here. You could all see it. Sahih al-Bukhari, volume 5, translated by Dr. Mohammed Muhsin Khan. There are many in our majalis who have heard about Sahih al-Bukhari from our scholars, but two things have happened. Number one, there are Shia who know more about Bukhari than they know about Al-Kafi. I ask you, if you're a Shia at home, how many of you own Al-Kafi? There are many who do not even own Al-Kafi. They won't even know what is in their literature, and they want to scrutinize the literature of others. But at the same time, when we go back here to Sahih al-Bukhari, when I'm looking at it, have I ever opened Sahih al-Bukhari myself? Or do I just hear what speakers say is in Sahih al-Bukhari? If I open this Sahih al-Bukhari here, Arabic English, Dr. Mohammed Muhsin Khan, formerly Director, University Hospital, Islamic University, Al-Madinah Al-Munawwara, Darus Salam Publishers and Distributors, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I think that's clear that this is a Bukhari which is published where? In Saudi Arabia. And then I may look within Sahih al-Bukhari, and I'm for the first time able to scrutinize what is written within Sahih al-Bukhari rather than just hearsay. In the past, you'll find that sometimes when we're looking within Sahih al-Bukhari, we may look and we may not ever have gone inside to see what's said. I just want us all to see to this hadith, which I will scrutinize in the forthcoming nights. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa when he died, did he die on whose lap? If you look in Sahih al-Bukhari, you'll see here, chapter, the last statement the Prophet spoke, narrated Aisha, when the Prophet was healthy, he used to say, no soul of a Prophet is captured till he is shown his place in paradise, and then he is given the option. When death approached him, while his head was on my thigh, he became unconscious and then recovered his consciousness. He then looked at the ceiling of the house, and of course the hadith continued and said, oh Allah, the highest companion. I said to myself, so he's not going to choose us, and then so on and so forth. What we have over here is this particular narration. Then we move on to this narration over here, which is very interesting and highlights to you that there is a need for us to open up the works and the literature of others. If you look at this, the book of Al-Maghazi, Kitab Al-Maghazi, Sahih Al-Bukhari, hadith number 4459, it was mentioned in the presence of Aisha, just over here. Yep. It was mentioned, narrated Al-Aswad, it was mentioned in the presence of Aisha that the Prophet had appointed Ali as successor by will. Thereupon she said, who said so? I saw the Prophet, while I was supporting him against my chest, he asked for a tray and then fell on one side and expired, and I did not feel it. So how do the people say he appointed Ali as his successor? There's a couple of interesting points that emerge from here. The first point is that there seems to be a discussion that we can have in these forthcoming nights. Number one, on the last moments of the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, let's see what Bukhari says, and let us see what Nahj al-Balagha, one of the most known works within the Shia corpus of traditions. What does Imam Ali say about the last moments of the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? But also, number two, what do you have here? Aisha here is saying that there is no mention of Ali as the successor of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, what do I do if I find that there is another hadith in another work of the Sunni world where the Prophet clearly raises the hands of Ali somewhere at Ghadir? And then I try and understand the different interpretations that exist. What's happened here is that when I've taken Sahih al-Bukhari, when I do not understand why it is that certain Muslims reject the idea that Imam Ali is the successor of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, now I have opened a text and I see what their line of reasoning is. Because Aisha herself said in Bukhari that there is nothing mentioned about Ali being the successor. That reading, that's your reading, There's no issue there whatsoever. But I may have a reading on this issue as well. Sometimes the need to scrutinize the literature of other schools in Islam is also because there are too many explanations or too many examinations given about our beliefs which are far from the truth. I want to look at this book here just to give you an example of why certain people grow up thinking negatively about the Shia. This is a book, okay? Everybody could zoom in here. This book is called The 12 Islamic Months, Merits and Injunctions, written by Mufti Sayyid Abdul Karim Gumthalwi and Mufti Sayyid Abdul Shakur Tirmidhi, translated by Iqbal Hussain Ansari, Rafiq Abdul Rahman, Darul Isha'at, here it seems, Urdu Bazar, Karachi, 1, Pakistan, and it's got the phone number over there. This one seemingly has been published a number of years back, but you see here the first edition, 2000, composed by Muhammad Arfan, printed at the Sami Sons Publishers. Now, this book seems like a very basic book about the 12 Islamic months, Muharram, Safar, Rabi' and so on, yes? So you wouldn't think that there is any sectarian punch-up about to begin in this book. This book, by the way, I've seen it in Dar al-Taqwa in Baker Street. The first time I saw it was going back at least 20 years. And I saw it in a bookstore in Bolton. A very, very good bookstore, in fact, where I bought a lot of these books. This book, when we go into the section on Muharram, the first month of the Islamic calendar, it's very interesting that he gets to the point straight away on page 16. Warning, on the day of Ashura, some men hold in the mosques and Imam Bara's majalis to deliver speeches about the stories of the religious wars in which the martyrs laid down their lives. It is regretted that even some learned men attend these gatherings by mistake, and some scholars who attend consider it lawful to attend such gatherings. This practice, too, is a refined mode of mourning, even though they do not beat their chest as ignorance do. Now, he goes down here. This is where? Karachi, Pakistan. And people ask me, why is it that sometimes in Muharram Majalis, someone comes and kills people in the Majlis? If you're going to publish such books, which look so innocent, and then you get to this point over here, they come and they say, in this point, what do they say? They say that what takes place in this place, number 3, it is seen that heinous sins, even rapes, are committed in the crowd assembled on such occasions. Rape is committed in the crowd on such occasions. My dear brothers and sisters, I ask you all a question. Those of you, there are some non-Shia who've been to Majalis in Muharram. I hope that you would be open in saying that you've never seen a rape take place in a Majlis in Muharram. Let's go back to what he says. So he's giving all these points. Let's zoom in on to number 9 on page 19. Some men make their sons act as beggars of Imam al-Hussein, who beg from door to door. The parents do believe that this action on their part will have auspicious effect on the lives of these acting as beggars. This is nothing but sheer polytheism. This person goes even further on forbidden customs of the second category. To cook kichra, a dish prepared with mixed grains and pulses of many kinds, the recompense of which is offered for the soul of Imam Hussein. This act is based on some hadith which lays down that Allah gives increase the whole year round in the sustenance of him who is generous in feeding his children, the members of the family, on that day. So what goes on in our majalis? What goes on in our majalis on the basis of this very, very innocent book? You could buy this in Karachi, you could buy this in London, you could buy this in Bolton, that the Shia rape and rapes take place in Muharram by the Shia in this period. Now, what do I have therefore? I have, first, as a Shi'i, I need to know my literature if I'm going to discuss with non-Shia. Second, if a person is going to look at Shi'i beliefs, the second reason is because there are many books out there whose whole aim is to build a hate or build an antagonism towards the Shia. Arguably one of the best at doing this is this book over here. This is one of the best. Incoherence. You can't get more clear than this. Incoherence of the Shia Creed. All of these books that I'm bringing, by the way, is because I want to examine some of what they say. Incoherence of the Shia Creed by Shaykh al-Islam Ahmad ibn Taymiyyah. Yeah. Ahmad ibn Taymiyyah, I think today, in the year 2024, you cannot be a speaker in the Sunni world unless you give some type of reference to Ibn Taymiyyah. Even if you disagree and so, you will still have to find some type of reference. This book, of course, very important for us, Minhaj al-Sunnah, was a reply to Allama al-Hilli. Allama al-Hilli, Ibn Taymiyyah, both writing about their belief systems. But of course, Ibn Taymiyyah wanted to be clear in his attack on the Shia. If I just zoom in here, just look at some of the chapters, it's very clear in front of us. Proofs of Shia Rafidah, just look over here, chapter 3, on the top here. Proofs of Shia Rafidah on the leadership of Ali. Segment nullifying infallibility of Ali. Critique of Shi'i textual arguments on Ali's leadership. Critique of Shi'i Rafidi claim that leadership of Ali is to protect Islamic law. Negating Rafidah's claims on the obligation of appointing an infallible Imam. Negating Shia argument that Ali is the Imam because he is the best. Negating argument of the Rafidi with the verse of Wilayah. What Ibn Taymiyyah does over here, very interestingly, is that Ibn Taymiyyah literally looks at every single Shi'i belief and attacks it. And doesn't attack it through dialogue or critique. No, he looks at us as Rafidah. And he can't wait to get rid of us in one way or the other. So now when we move on over here, if you look at him right from the beginning, what does he say? Right in the introduction, we can zoom in over here, page 21, okay? Right here, after that, a number of people, yes? After that, a number of people of the Ahlus Sunnah and Jama'ah brought to me a book that was written by one Rafidi scholar of our time, who is displaying his merchandise and inviting people to the creed of Imamiyya Rafidah, whoever he can be able to invite amongst rulers, leaders, and other ignorant men. Whoever he can invite amongst rulers, leaders, and other ignorant men. MashaAllah, the power of wonderful dialogue. Whose knowledge of science and religion is limited, and who lacks the knowledge of Muslims' principles of religion. He was aided in his cause by those who traditionally aid the Rafidah of the Batinite atheists, who in their hearts are philosophers who worship celestial bodies and who are actually outside the fold of those who follow the Messenger of Allah. Now, this book in front of you is available for all to read. Sometimes people ask me, why are there certain Shia places of worship bombed? When you are reading someone who is negating the arguments of the Shia, no problem. Critiquing Allama al-Hilli's Minhaj al-Karama, no problem. But for us, this also builds in the people rather than an atmosphere. And this can exist on both sides, by the way. If a person is preaching with the intention that you want to destroy or nullify or see as normal to vilify others, then all it does is bring about hate. If you want to see a great title, check this one out over here. This is a brilliant title. I hope I find it. So as you can see, we've built up quite a bookshelf for this holy month of Ramadan. Look at this title, everyone. Talbis Iblis. Allah. The Devil's Deception by Abdul Rahman ibn al-Jawzi. Written when? 597 Hijrah. So he's lived quite a long time ago. This person over here, translated by Mohammed Mehdi Sharif. Dar al-Kutub al-Ilmiyyah. Okay, let's open it up. No doubt, Iblis is the most dangerous enemy of mankind who caused Adam and Eve to come out of paradise and swore by the honor of Allah that he would do his best to mislead them and take them out of the straight path as told by Allah. He continues and continues. This book, Talbis Iblis, is of great importance and high value in the Islamic tradition. Why? Because Iblis has deceived a number of people in his life, that we do not doubt. So let's see who Iblis has deceived when we open up the index to see who exactly he's going to scrutinize. Chapter 1, okay? And he continues by looking at all of the people who Iblis has destroyed and all the people who Iblis has deceived. And within these people who Iblis has deceived, rejectors of prophethood, okay? He talks about them. Who are the rejectors of prophethood? Iblis deceives Christians as well. Iblis deceives Sabians, Magians, those who doubt resurrection, those who believe in resurrection, those who believe in reincarnation. Okay, so he looks at every single group of people who Iblis has deceived and who he has destroyed. And of course, of these people, who is it that he really wants to make clear? Look at this. Iblis, how Iblis deceives the Rafidah. The author says as well, Iblis has deceived the Khawarij until they set out to fight Ali. He led others to be excessive in their love for him until they went beyond the due limits. And then he continues from there. I saw that some people of the Rafidah had the belief that both Abu Bakr and Umar were disbelievers. According to others, they became apostates after the death of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some adopted the opinion of dissociation from anyone other than Ali. We have already narrated that the Shia asked Zayd bin Ali to get disassociated from those who disputed with Ali over his right of ruling. Okay? So here what you have that's very interesting is a wonderful title, Talbis Iblis. Iblis' deception of the Shia. When I'm therefore looking at all of these books, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to understand that even if someone has written books against me, number one, that's not going to help dialogue if you're going to name books The Devil's Deception of the Shia, or for example, a reply to the Rafidah. But there's no issue. We should have an environment in which we have discussion, where we can critique one another and discuss each other's point. Someone says, well, why not do it for debates? Why not just have debates and do this? And I know for years, I have lived rent-free in the heads of many in Speaker's Corner who became obsessed with me to the extent that some of them over there made fun of my appearance, and some of them made fun of, for example, my voice, and some made fun of my lectures, some made fun of my surname. And these were, mashallah, the leading da'wah missionaries of the religion of Islam. These people who I would live rent-free in their heads, where they would continuously call me out by name, and they would keep saying, let's debate, let's debate, let's debate. But then when you looked at what was taking place there, it was very interesting. First and foremost, these debates ended up just being ego wars. Because in many cases, there was a condescending tone to all of these discussions. In many cases, we found that in these discussions, there was rudeness that was on display. But the lowest thing that I ever saw was when somebody would debate someone who is not known to have knowledge or not known to be a scholar, and then they'd make a clip and be proud of that clip. Shia gets annihilated. Shia gets destroyed. That is very low. And that is not what my aim is when I look at Taraweeh, and I'm going to look at Mut'ah, and I'm going to look at Thaqalain, and I'm going to look at Ghadir, and I'm going to look at Abu Bakr angering Fatima, in order that we're all able to understand each other's readings. You have a reading of history, I have a reading. But part of the reason as well, that in some cases you don't engage in debate with these, is because the reality is it's either their reading or the highway, or in some cases their reading and death threats. There are those who have been to Speaker's Corner, who are Sunni, who have been beaten up by fellow Sunnis. So what hope does the Rafidi have? A Sunni in Speaker's Corner has been beaten up by Sunnis. Why? Because one group believed in a Madkhali school and the other group opposed it. One group believed in standing up against oppressors. Others said you can't stand up against rulers of your time. They had a war with each other. So what hope for the Rafidi? The reality is that anyone who comes and tells you, come and give your opinion, if your opinion is an opinion that differs with them on what's happened in early Islamic history, then it becomes a punch-up, and it becomes people who are ready to gang up on each other, curse each other, and have the police, who are non-Muslims, witness us fight in this way. It's not like the ego doesn't want to debate. Of course the ego wants to debate. There's no doubt. But then what did we learn from Khandaq and that spit on the Imam from his opposition? The reality is, am I going to debate for my own ego? If that's the case, and it's all about winning, then that's far from the spirit of this Islam, where Mufid and Shahid al-Thani studied under Sunni ulama, and where, for example, Tusi was willing to look at the opinions of others in the Sunni world That is the atmosphere that needs to be created. When I was living rent-free in some people's heads, they would sit and reply to every lecture I've given. But what was easy is that they could just sit, watch, talk. There was no crowd in front of them. Many of the lectures that I may have given on a lot of these issues where Shia and Sunni differ on are in a Shia setting where you are running against the clock to complete. Whereas, alhamdulillah, in these 30 nights or so, in this holy month of Ramadan, I hope that I'm quite relaxed and that the channel will afford me the time to scrutinize and look at our beliefs and the beliefs of others. No longer are we going to only take Then I Was Guided or a Peshawar Nights as our resource, even though they may have done a service for a certain point. Al-Muraja'at done its service, Peshawar Nights done its service, Then I Was Guided done its service. But in many cases, many of us have not opened up, for example, the Musnad of Ahmad bin Hanbal. Many of us have not opened up the Sunan, for example, of Abu Dawood. Many of us have not opened up the Sahih of Muslim. In front of me in this holy month of Ramadan, I want to open all of these pieces of literature up and look at what's written in there. Let's look at Taraweeh in here. Let's look at Aisha's decisions in here. Let's look at Ghadir in here. Let's look at Fatima's anger with those who took Fadak from her. All of these will be placed. I don't even mind looking at books like this. Look at this book, published here. We can look at it as well. Muawiyah, the restorer of the Muslim faith. No problem. There are those who have books like this. We can scrutinize what the hadiths say about Muawiyah and the cursing of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And what happens if you curse a Sahabi? Are you still within the fold of Islam or no? Let's open up those discussions as well. And then let the people decide ultimately not whether to become Sunni or Shia, but rather ultimately to try and look for that which gets you closer to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi sunnah. Some may object and ask, why would we do this topic in the holy month of Ramadan? What difference will it make on a schism that's been there for 1,400 years? Why discuss Sunni Shia? Is it really going to change things? Look, why do you then discuss Islam with a Christian? Why do you discuss Islam with a non-Muslim? At the end of the day, you can only give your reading. A person wants to listen, they listen. And if they don't want to listen, it's up to them. Number two, I have a bird's eye view of the Shia world, and there are many Shia who have not looked into the literature of other schools of Islam to understand their beliefs as well as our beliefs. And many are asking these questions, and there is a need for us to be able to dissect this. Some may say there are pressing issues that are affecting the Muslim world. Why not talk about those? We can talk about that, and we can talk about this. We can learn the historical, the theological, and the legal, and we can also support those who are facing difficulties in the Muslim world today. But as you could see right now, I'm like a person who's got his toys all around him and cannot wait to look into all of them to see what each one of them says, and for us to be able to continue to learn, to continue to grow, and to continue to break bread as Muslims, rather than seek to destroy or annihilate one another, but rather seek to understand each other's rich history in order that we are able to move forward. I look forward to seeing you from tomorrow night, inshaAllah, where we're going to be able to scrutinize one of the most important topics in relation to the practices seen in many mosques in the holy month of Ramadan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
will replace it. He is the best of providers.